the love. This is the Gridiron Guys podcast with Anthony Stalter and Super Bowl champion Carey Davis.
Driven by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Guys podcast. I'm Anthony Stalter alongside Super Bowl champion Carey Davis. It's been a couple of weeks, but we're back at it. And Carey, we have good news for listeners. We're going to do a podcast probably every week from here on out.
We are good to go. I am back on my regularly scheduled program in terms of coaching high school football, and so we will have time in between my show and your show where we can actually get some work done, because we were just two ships passing in the night, missing each other. We weren't able to connect enough, but I think people are in dire need of us and our takes on football.
Well,
so
let's hope so. Yeah, that's why we're doing the podcast.
That's what I think. When I go to bed and I'm like, these people need us. they need us.
I'm more thinking like, you and I just want to talk football, so if anybody's listening, I appreciate it. But
that too.
So what we're going to do today, we have two more divisions to wrap up, but since training camps have started, I did want to throw a couple of kind of the hotter topics out right now, especially to Carey, who, as a former running back, I'm sure will have some thoughts on this. So, Carey, I'll throw two bits of news at you since the last time we did the podcast. Mm-hmm. So the Giants signed Saquon Barkley to a 1-year, $11 million contract, and according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, Barkley, who had refused to play initially for the Giants in 2023 under the team's franchise tag, he gets a $2 million signing bonus. The size of the 1-year deal gives Barkley a chance to earn more than he would have under the tag, but it was kind of an about-face after Saquon Barkley and some of the other running backs who were unhappy with the situation regarding their market and their future got together on a Zoom meeting. Now, the other bit of running back news, and it kind of correlates, is that Jonathan Taylor has denied reports that he reported to Colts camp complaining of back pain. He and the Colts are kind of going back and forth. The owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay, said that, this situation with the running backs was collectively bargained. Now they're kind of looking to redo the situation. That's not really right. What are your overall thoughts on Barkley, Taylor, the running back market as it is, especially as a former running back yourself?
Well, I think that this position does everything. And I mean, there aren't many guys on the field that you're going to find that run the ball, obviously, that can catch the ball and block. I mean, you're doing all three jobs, and it is a requirement to be really good at that position. If my running back coach told me in college, he said every running back can run the ball. He said the things that separate you from the rest of the pack are the ones that can block and the ones that can catch. And so this position is a vital part of every team's offense. If you are an offensive team that likes to pass the ball, you know what sets up good passing is running the ball. Mm-hmm. And so when you are able to play action pass, now you got receivers wide open downfield. I think it's disheartening that that a position that means so much to the fabric of a team, when you talk about playoff football, you talk about two things that win championships: playing defense and running the football. And regardless of who you decide to have back there, if you have one of those elite guys, it definitely makes life a lot easier. And I think in Saquon Barkley's case, the frustration that has to come over him, knowing that you all paid Daniel Jones a lot of money. Daniel Jones ain't really good if I'm not there. Mm-hmm. Like, Saquon was the tied for leading reception leader on their team, and he's a guy that you're going to throw the ball to out of the backfield. He's a guy that's going to block in the backfield to make sure Daniel Jones is upright and not being carted off of the field. So
right.
The value of this position and the notion that we can get anybody to do it, it infuriates me, because there are guys that are elite, as I said earlier, at doing this, and you don't find those guys often. I mean, there are guys, obviously, you can plug and play. The Detroit Lions, Jamal Williams led the league in rushing touchdowns, and they let him walk. And then you got DeAndre Swift, who I thought was a better back than Jamal Williams. You move him as well. So now you go in a different direction. The value for how franchises see them is disrespectful. It's flat out disrespectful. And then you talked about Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay. Just probably not smart to stick your foot into that situation, knowing that you're a running back going into his fourth year, not having a fifth-year option for you to pick up. You probably don't care because you're going to franchise him if push comes to shove. But somehow or another, the value and the respect for this position has to be improved, because there are so much that they do to help this team. I told you, I played fullback, but I've had to play running back a few times in the NFL. Definitely in college, but in the NFL as well. I had stuff hurting on me that I didn't even know I had. What the hell is that body part? Why is that sore? You got 22 pairs of eyes, 22 eyes, 11 pairs of eyes looking at you when that ball is in your hand. They are trying to come do damage. And so you're going to hand the ball off to your back now 18 to 22 times a game. Used to be 30, 35 times, but 18 to 22. And you expect them to do what they're supposed to do. And I just feel like that at some point, hopefully it gets corrected. I don't know what the running backs have, what they're able to do in this situation. It seems that they're stuck, but hopefully it'll come around and you'll get that one special back that does get that huge contract, and then everyone can follow suit.
It's tough, Gary, because me being somebody that I love football and I appreciate the game so much. I know when you're talking about, especially coming out of your mouth, you played the position, you know what it takes. I know the value of the running back position and how vital it is on a team. Look, the playoffs, you could throw the ball out in September and October. Yes. You could throw the ball all over the yard. When it starts to get a little colder, when teams start to get a little bit more banged up, when you face a team like the Steelers or the Ravens, teams that are going to beat the crap out of you in the postseason, you got to be able to run the ball. You have to be physical if you want to win a championship. Ask the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. They got pushed all over the yard last year in their home building.
Their best running back is their quarterback.
It is. They got pushed around by a Bengals team that was more physical. So I respect and appreciate what the running back position is and what it means to a team. If I'm a GM, though, and I'm looking at the situation where, let's just take the Chiefs and the Eagles, for example. The Kansas City Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the back end of the first round, 3 years ago. So it was a first-round running back. Right. We're not talking about top 5 guy, top 10 guy, not even a top 20 guy, but we're talking about somebody that was selected in the first round. The guy that was selected in the 7th round, Isaiah Pacheco, was the one that helped you win a Super Bowl last year. So every time an Isaiah Pacheco does what he does, or hell, anybody that plays for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. Plug and play guy. And I know they got Christian McCaffrey, but Shanahan has a long history of using undrafted free agents or guys that were discarded from previous teams as his guy. Get to the edge, 1 foot in the ground, get upfield. That's what we need to run. It's more about the scheme for him. Right. So every time that happens and teams have success with it, where the Eagles can use a combination of Hurts and Miles Sanders, who they let walk this year, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, who am I missing? I mean, they used a slew of guys last year. Every time that happens, it diminishes the value of a Saquon Barkley or a Dalvin Cook or a Jonathan Taylor.
I think the difference in those instances, when you have your quarterback who can run the ball as well, who is a threat, it makes it easier to plug and play. And now in San Francisco's case, that's their style. They run that outside zone, one cut, get upfield. It's the style of football. The Denver Broncos made it famous years ago with Terrell Davis. And the Denver Broncos were the same kind of mindset. They were able to roll running backs in, and it didn't matter who was there. But there are certain organizations, when you look at Derrick Henry in Tennessee, if he's not in that backfield, you can cancel the season. Don't worry about it. It's nothing that we can talk about. You can say the same thing in terms of the New York Giants. They are in the same mode. Another team that is going to be hurting this season as well as they played last year, the Minnesota Vikings. You lose Dalvin Cook. As much as you want to say about him, he was pretty healthy last year. And so when you are not having those guys in the fold, guys that you can turn around and hand the ball to 25 times a game, it's a much different game. Tony Pollard is going to see what this season looks like once he heals from his ankle injury, and he's the lone back that is getting the bulk of the carries as opposed to splitting time with Ezekiel Elliott. It's a different mode. It's a different mindset when you're the sole guy, and there are guys that are prepared. They're big enough, they're strong enough, they're fast enough to do that job. Not everybody is built for that, and so it just always intrigues me when teams feel like, I can just put anybody in there. It's kind of like the analytics with baseball. These numbers actually. So when I was doing the numbers, if you put this guy, I know he's a step slower and a step shorter, but his actually average yard per carry matches. He's got 54 100 less carries than this guy.
Right.
It's not the same, man. So, it's just about getting those guys. And hopefully, again, I hope that they get an opportunity to one of these guys explode. But the NFL is a business, man. They're going to do what's best. Josh Jacobs got the franchise tag. It is what it is. They don't care. And so you're going to have to pretty much outplay any contract that is in front of you, and you still may not be rewarded because of it.
Yeah, or you may have to take, and this is awful because it's football and your life, your career is going to be cut short more times than not. When you look at the league, you might have to just take 1-year deals like Saquon did, and you don't want to do that. I get that, but you're going to make more money that way.
The one thing that I think Saquon should have done, and I don't think he did it, was he should have made sure that there was no way for them to franchise tag him again.
Good call.
And so
Great point.
Almost have to look at what LeBron James did in basketball a few years back when he started taking 2-year deals with a player option after the first one. That may be the best way to go for, as you said, for the running backs. It's essentially a 1-year deal. We can re-up if I want to,
right? But
we're going to have a 2-year, and we can stay locked in for these 2 years if I want to. If you can get Darrelle Revis started doing that as a cornerback, those are guys that understand their wealth, their value, and their worth. And so you may have to start looking at it like that, where I'll do these 4 years. And then hopefully I'm not a first-round back, so you can't 5th-year option me.
Yeah.
And now we can do a 2-year deal with a player option. And now I just got a ball.
Yeah.
It's a tough way to go about it, but you can make a lot of money that way because teams are going to say, okay, 1 year.
Oh yeah, they don't care.
You.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
2 years with a player option, cool.
Right.
So that may be the best way to go about it, but. Other than that, man, they're gonna have to play. They're gonna have to play their way through this one. They ain't no walking around or getting around this.
No, you're right. That's Carey Davis. I'm Anthony Stalter. All right, so we have 2 more divisions, Carey, to break down. We've got the NFC West and we have the AFC West. I think the AFC West is more intriguing. So why don't we start with the NFC West, and we'll move fairly quickly. What we've done, if you've listened to previous podcasts, you know this. But if you're just joining us, one, thank you, welcome. Hopefully you download previous podcasts because we've broken down each division thus far. But we've taken each team, we've talked about their win totals. Carey and I give you a prediction based on our thoughts about that team. So why don't we let's just do the layup first. Let's start off with the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, what's their over-under?
Over-under's 4.5.
Hey, let's go under.
Yep.
Just why not? Why not?
There's nothing. Colt McCoy may win a couple of games. I don't think Kyler Murray's going to be that healthy this year, Carey. They don't obviously have DeAndre Hopkins anymore. They're rebuilding.
Yeah,
they're rebuilding. They just don't have a ton of talent. Some of their draft picks just haven't panned out. And it's one of the worst organizations right now in football. Under 4.5 for me.
It is, and you have a quarterback who signed a huge contract last year. There was a stipulation that he played less video games and paid more attention. Then they tried to take that out. That
your
was
franchise guy.
Your guy. You're going to be here for a while, and now he's injured with an ACL tear that he happened late in the season last year. So he's going to miss some significant time coming into the season. And again, like you said, they are a team in that division. They went, what was their record last year? 4-13? Was that what I got?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so. And so they 4-13 last in the division, and so I don't expect much from them. You talked about DeAndre Hopkins no longer being there. They got a new head coach. It is a recipe for things to go completely terrible for this season for the Arizona Cardinals, and you can use that kind of as your excuse as to why it's going that way. They have it's going to be a long, tough season for them based on their record last year and what they have coming back.
Yeah, they're rebuilding, bottom line. All right, let's move on to the Rams. I'm taking the under. It's 6.5. I don't see 7 wins on their schedule. I don't think Matthew Stafford stays healthy all season long. There was some question about whether or not he could play, whether or not he was going to be done after last year. He missed a ton of time. I like Sean McVay, but there's only so much you can do as a play caller. Cooper Kupp just got hurt in training camp. He should be fine, but I mean, look, the talent is no longer there on defense, save for Aaron Donald. I mean, Carey, look at this roster, especially the defense. You traded away your top corner in
Jalen Ramsey,
who unfortunately got hurt for the Dolphins, but. you've got, I would even call sporadic talent. The bill has come due on the FM picks.
Yeah.
The bill is, you won the Super Bowl. The bills are starting to come in.
Yeah.
You got to buckle down and pay the bills. Under 6.5 all day long.
I think I agree with you there. There was also talks that they may try to restructure Stafford's deal in the offseason or maybe even trade him. And then I think Kevin Demoff came out and said, we didn't say that. Not like that he would tell us any lies or anything.
Right. Not that he would know.
Not that he would. But, we when you're looking at this Rams team, again, you are correct. They are a team that they don't have a lot in the cupboard other than Aaron Donald, who may or may not be towards the end of his career, just a Hall of Fame career, obviously, but what more does he have to prove? What more does he have to play for at this point, especially if this team isn't going to be pursuing championships in the near future? No. You just had Sony Michel retire after 5 years. That's kind of intriguing that took place.
Carey, I don't know him. I don't know him personally, but that screams to me that he's probably been done with football for a while. And
possibly. I mean, that was an intriguing thing. And so you got Cam Akers in the backfield. Hopefully he's healthy and ready to roll this season. They had an issue with him last year. I don't know where the touchdowns come from. I don't know where the playmakers come from, especially if Cooper Kupp is hurt. He's going to get 155 targets if he's healthy. But if he's hurt and not able to play, I don't know where the explosiveness comes from on this offense. It doesn't look very good to me, and the defense leaves a lot to be desired as well.
No doubt. All right, so you got the under too?
I have the under.
Okay, so we both took the under for the Rams, both took the under for the Cardinals. What do you got for Seattle? 8.5. Over under 8.5 wins for Seattle. Coming off a playoff.
My boy Geno did really well last year, and I do really like. I'm clearly a homer. I really like what they did in the draft, taking Devin Witherspoon with their first pick out of the University of Illinois, ILL, and then Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State, a very good receiver as well. I thought they did a really good job of helping Geno get that weapon, and I think that this team over 8. I like that. I like
8.5. So
over
they got
8.5.
Yeah, they got to win 9.
9 and 8. They can go 9 and 8. They can go 10 and 7. I think they could go over. I think that Geno Smith showed he said they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. That was the quote of the year, in my opinion. Geno Smith showed everybody that with opportunities and preparation, he could be a very good quarterback. Was a Pro Bowler last year. I think he builds on that for this year, another year in this offense, and I think he's going to be really good for them.
I'm going to take the under.
Really?
I want to take the over because
they're going to go 4-0 versus the Cardinals and the Rams.
That's exactly why I wanted to take the over, Carey. I'm not a big believer in their lines. I think Geno Smith did a remarkable job last year, and he proved that Pete Carroll was smart all along with what he was trying to do with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson didn't want to play in that offense, and he goes to Denver and does things his way and became one of the biggest mockeries in the entire league. Yeah. Geno Smith had his career revived because he believed in what Pete Carroll was trying to do. So good all around for Geno Smith and the Seahawks. But both tackle positions. We'll just start with the offensive line. They're going to starting rookies Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas at both tackle positions last year was a risk. Wound up working out. If they can make significant strides in their second year, okay, good. But Cross was a bit of a weak link last year. I don't know about the middle of their offensive line, and I think their front seven's kind of pedestrian. So I think they find a way to win 7 or 8 games, but they're not going to sneak up on everybody like they did a year ago. So I'm going to take the under 8.5. I think they're right there, Carey. I think they wind up with 8, and they go 8-9 as opposed to 9 and 8.
I really like their secondary. Like I said, the addition of Witherspoon was a great pickup for them. If Tariq Woolen is ready to roll, he's on the PUP list, I believe, right now. And we still are waiting on the Jamal Adams from years ago to show up. I don't know if it has passed him by at this point, but if he's able to go, that secondary has the capability of being a really good secondary. Now, if you're, well, you know what? It'll be good because teams don't value the running back, so they're going to be throwing it a lot. We just discovered that, didn't we? So they'll be okay.
The bitter Carey Davis showing up right now. All right, the last team in the division, the San Francisco 49ers, 10.5. 10.5 is the number. Give me the over, man. I love this team. I know they got the quarterback question marks.
Can they keep a quarterback healthy?
Does it matter?
It does.
Mr. Irrelevant last year, NFC title games. But he got hurt in the NFC title game.
It does matter.
Look at what they did.
Can they keep a guy healthy? Jimmy G got hurt last year. Lance got hurt. Brock Purdy got hurt. Who the hell was throwing the football for them in the championship games?
Well, it was
James Johnson.
It was Josh Johnson.
See how he
who also got hurt, and Brock Purdy had to go back in, and he couldn't throw.
He was handing the damn ball.
It was Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey right, Christian McCaffrey left.
And it went nowhere.
Yeah.
He couldn't even throw a screen.
Well, the freaking elbow was blown out.
That's not great. Now, if
they should have just they could have put McCaffrey in.
They probably should have gone Wildcat.
But that's tough. That's tough to step in.
It
like
is.
That.
This is a team. You hit the nail on the head. They have so much talent around Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. You got guys that can go get the ball, make plays. Christian McCaffrey is a Swiss Army knife that does every single thing you want out of that position. Should be paid a lot of money. Hope you're listening, NFL teams. And so you got.
Well, he actually stays.
He is getting paid a lot of money for his
He stays
work.
On the field. That's the thing.
He does. Well, now he did. Years past.
Sorry, not from an injury standpoint. I meant on third down. When
he's there,
you
he's
don't have
there.
to replace. It's tough to pay a running back if you got to constantly take him off the field on third downs.
Correct. I think they added Javon Hargrave in the offseason. And so I think they are going to be, again, that division is probably – is it the weakest division in all of football right now? Have we come to –
the NFC West is. The NFC South is. I like the Saints. I like the Falcons more than a lot of people. And it's not just the Homer. The Homer in me.
The Homer?
I don't know what Homer is. The Panthers are. We'll see, and the Bucs are a disaster.
Okay, well they are tied for first in the worst division of football. 1A and 1B, the NFC West. And so you're looking at a San Francisco team that should go 4-2 at worst in the division, and then you're going to have to pick up a few more wins. I definitely think with a healthy Brock Purdy, with all of the weapons that they have on offense, I like them to go over in their season for their season mark.
I love that defensive line. I love that front seven.
Yeah.
Fred Warner. I don't even know if you can call him underrated.
He's spectacular.
He's spectacular. I still don't feel like he gets the due nationally, but he's just incredible.
The one question, I think Nick Bosa is still out, waiting on a new contract. So you have that issue on your hands.
Pay the man.
I don't know what we're waiting on here. It's kind of crazy, but we'll see.
All right, Carey Davis, Anthony Stalter, Gridiron Guys podcast. We've got one division. This is it, and it's the team led by the division led by the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending champions. So
that's crazy how that worked out. Good job.
No kidding.
That's a good job by you.
What's that?
We're putting that together, making them the last team.
Yeah, man. Come on, right? I didn't do it on purpose. But let's start off with the Raiders, because I think the Raiders are the team that a lot of people expect to finish last in this division. I also I think from an on-field standpoint, Carey, they're the least interesting team as well.
You don't like Max Crosby?
I like Max Crosby.
Very interesting.
I like Max Crosby. I actually like Jimmy G too.
That you lost me there.
But it just feels
you
like
had me too. You said Jimmy G.
I like Jimmy G. You know what Jimmy G is.
You do.
Handsome as ever.
Handsome devil. Hey, and you know what he's gonna
Tall,
get hurt.
Tan, handsome as ever,
and he's gonna miss some time.
Yeah, probably under 6.5. I'm assuming you're going, Carey.
Yeah, I'll go under 6.5, and it's a shame because Devontae Adams coming over from Green Bay a few years ago has been and will go down as one of the best receivers. He needs a quarterback that can get him the ball on a consistent basis. You don't know what's going to happen with Josh Jacobs. As I said earlier, he's undecided on whether or not to sign that franchise tag and may decide to just hold out, may not want to play. So now you're going to be looking at who are we giving the ball to in the backfield. And, again, you don't want Jimmy G just dropping back 25, 30, 40 times a game. It's not conducive for him and his safety and his health.
This is one of my favorite plays. If I'm going to do any sort of season totals, I'm going to take the under. The schedule, for some reason, the schedule. Well, actually, I'm not going to say for some reason. I know why the schedule's tough, because they play in the toughest division in football. I think the Broncos we'll get to. I think they're improved this year. I love Justin Herbert. I don't know if I love the Chargers, but I love Justin Herbert, and the Chiefs speak for themselves. Toughest division in football. You've got the worst roster. You've got so much uncertainty, as Carey, you broke down perfectly. The offensive line, mediocre. The front seven, not great. I mean, somehow Patrick Graham managed to take a step back with that pass rush from a year ago. Yeah. I don't like much about the Raiders, and with the uncertainty, as you mentioned, with Josh Jacobs, who's coming off a fantastic season.
Yep.
I the under 6.5, again, one of my favorite plays when it comes to the NFL win totals. Let's go to the Chargers now. I mentioned that I love Justin Herbert. I don't know if I love the Chargers overall. They're that team that's got plenty of talent. Brandon Staley, not a fan. It seems like he's gonna lose you a handful of games each and every year that the Chargers are going to be in. But
I'm surprised he kept his job, because there were talks that he might not even make it, despite them making it to the playoffs, and that obviously didn't go well.
Yeah, I am. I am a little surprised. Maybe they weren't thrilled with what the coaching search was going to yield for them, but or maybe it's just they wanted to set up a true crossroads season for him and say, hey, you're going to go one way or another here. Either we're going to improve with a playoff win, or you're going to be in the unemployment line. But Carey, the total for the Chargers, 9.5. So if you want over, they got to win 10.
I'm probably going to go under, and for a team that is that talented, that kind of pains me. You get the addition of Kellen Moore as your OC coming over from Dallas. I hope he's able to implement something that Justin Herbert knows what color jerseys they're wearing, because clearly he couldn't get that through to Dak at times last year. Mm-hmm. But Justin Herbert also just getting paid, getting his big contract, and so and they have so much talent at the receiver position. Their issue has been injuries. It was a point in time where Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Justin Herbert had played, I think it was I want to say 20-some-odd snaps together the entire season, and that was week 12 or 13. They were just often injured.
Well, then Numbnuts played Williams in week 18, and he got hurt. Meaningless game. What are you doing, dude?
He's just a guy just out there having a good time.
Do you not realize what Williams brings to your offense?
He's having a good time. Leave him alone.
Sorry, go.
He's having fun. Don't rain on his parade, Anthony.
Unbelievable.
He is. Mike Williams played in 13 games last year. Keenan Allen only played in 10, and so you had a lot of time missed between those two, and that familiarity with Justin Herbert. They go out and get a receiver in the first round in Quentin Johnson out of TCU, adding more to the depth of the receiving core, and so I would assume they're going to throw the ball a lot, which is why they didn't want to pay Austin Eckler either.
Well, he caught a lot of passes too.
He did. We're going to throw you. We might well label you. If I were him, I would be asking to be moved to receiver. Just line me up. Yeah. Just change my tag to receiver, and then I can get paid.
Yep.
Yeah. But again, this is a team. Defensively, I still like what they do. Joey Bosa obviously is a man amongst men. Derwin James is one of the best safeties in the league, and so it's hard for me to say 10 wins, though, because of what you said. The head coach, he's probably going to lose you a few.
I love the talent. I love the talent. I absolutely hate the coaching staff.
There was a point last year. They were playing the Browns, I believe. Keenan Allen was at home hurt, and he tweeted, "What are we doing?"
Yep, I remember. You're right.
He's right. Almost lost the game to Jacoby Brissett and the Browns. Yeah, it's probably going to happen, man.
How many games did they win last year? Do you have it off the top of your head?
I don't have it. Let's see.
Obviously, they were a playoff team, so they probably won about 10 games, I would imagine.
I don't know how many games.
Let me look. Sorry, I threw this at you. I didn't know if you had the standings up. Looking at it right now, still holding 10. You won 10 games last year, despite the coaching staff.
I don't think you can do it again.
I don't think they could do it either. I think they're going to win 9.
Yeah,
I think they're going to win 9. I think they're going to come just under, and they're going to spoil this talent. And Kellen,
unfortunate.
I know that Kellen Moore was the wonderkin there, in Dallas for a while, but how'd that work out in the playoffs as soon as they lost Tony Pollard? He had no adjustment, no nothing. I think Kellen Moore got exposed the more that the year went on in Dallas.
Yeah, they didn't have that didn't. For Dallas, that didn't end the way that they wanted it to, and he kind of became the
Ezekiel
scapegoat.
Elliott snapping the ball.
Do
you remember that?
That was. I don't know what that was. If I'm Zeke,
that was punishment.
If I'm Zeke, that's not my last play ever in a Dallas uniform.
In a Dallas uniform, that was his last play.
That's not. That is not.
What are you doing?
What the hell are we doing?
I don't know who that defensive tackle was. I forget who it was, but my God, Carey, was he salivating? Do you think he was like, "Oh my, this is incredible"?
Big people, when they get to hit little people, how excited they are. I was watching the TV earlier. Maisie Smith, their first-round draft pick for the Cowboys, said, "I don't even like football. I just like hitting people. Like, give me him.
Yeah.
That's a big D lineman. Yeah,
big dude just wants to hit people, and he does it. He could do it legally. All right. So we both like the under 9.5 for the Chargers. And again, this is not a talent thing. It's a coaching thing.
Yes.
Let's move to who I think they're the most interesting team. In the NFL, and I'm not saying that from a standpoint of I like Russell Wilson. I think he turned out to be a goober, and I think he turned out to be somebody that really overvalued his talent. And I hate to say it because I used to love watching Russell Wilson play.
Yeah.
But last year, it's the divorce. It's the divorce that happens. Tom Brady divorced Bill Belichick. Tom Brady won that one.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson divorced Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll
is winning that one.
Pete Carroll got the smoke show.
Yeah.
He wound up. He goes, "Okay, you're leaving me, no problem."
Yep.
Went down the street, found a smoke show that loves and respects him even more. Russell Wilson went the diva route, and he got his ass handed to him. Mm-hmm. But Carey, I like Sean Payton so much. I realize he's a wild card, and he said the comments about Nathaniel Hackett. I don't give a damn. I don't care.
I love that.
He was telling the truth.
Yeah, he wasn't lying.
It was a disaster last year.
Telling a lie.
Yes,
it was a mess over there last year.
But we're doing win totals, so it doesn't matter how much I like Sean Payton.
What you got? What's
it's
that?
8.5. Last year they won 5 games, and they were an utter disaster last year.
I'm gonna go over based on that. Sean Payton is good for 3 more, at least.
I like the way you say that.
Find another win there.
Mm-hmm.
That team, if I'm not mistaken, they averaged around 16 points per game offensively, and had one of the top defenses in the league. If their offense could have scored a couple of more touchdowns a game, that they would have won 3 to 4, maybe 5 more games based on the numbers that they were putting out there. That defense was playing their butts off, which is why you saw the defensive tackle, I can't remember his name, yelling in Russell Wilson's face as he's coming off the field. I'm assuming do something other than just talk, man.
Yeah.
Get a touchdown, brother. Help me help you.
Stop doing the lunges down the alley of the plane there, and why don't you find the damn end zone?
Give me some help. Give us some help. And so I think when you're looking at this offense, they lost Javonte Williams earlier in the season last year to a torn ACL. Mm-hmm. He'll be back. He'll be healthy. They did just lose Tim Patrick to a torn Achilles the other day, which is not great. But I think if Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, those are guys that can go catch the football. Jerry Jeudy has to limit his drops because he had a lot of them at times last year and really throughout his entire career. He can take care of the football, catch the ball cleanly. Sean Payton is a master of coming up with schemes and plays and ways to get guys open, ways to get guys the football. And if Russell Wilson can sit his butt in the pocket, because what he's done throughout his entire career that has allowed him to have great success is being creative. Mm-hmm. So I would assume that Sean Payton is going to get some mobile pass plays for him on the run, some boots, some rollouts where he can still have that, but really dial it in. Hey, man, on-time passing is what we need. Get the damn ball out of your hand, and let's go on to the next play.
So Russell Wilson, his idol, Drew Brees, who made who put together his Hall of Fame career, or what should be a Hall of Fame career.
It is
under
no
who?
Question.
Sean Payton.
Yes,
he had good years with San Diego and the Chargers. He had Hall of Fame years with Sean Payton in New Orleans. If Russell Wilson just shuts up, and listens to what Payton has to say. I like the way you put that. I think Sean Payton is worth, another 3 wins. Yeah. So can you get another? They had 5 wins last year. Payton's worth another 3. Can you get one more
let me tell you
that
something.
maybe you weren't expecting? Get the over 9, or over 8.5. I'm going to say yes.
Nathaniel Hackett was you talk about.
They won 5 wins with me as the head coach. I mean, essentially.
And here's the thing, man. You never want people to lose their job, but when somebody is underqualified for a position, which Nathaniel Hackett definitely looked underqualified, not ready, not prepared for that position.
Yep.
It seemed like it was too much for him. The other thing that I forgot to mention, the Denver Broncos went out and added depth to their offensive line. They went and got Mike McGlinchey from San Francisco, which was a big pickup, and Ben Powers from Baltimore. So they added to that offensive line to keep Russell Wilson clean. Stay your ass in the pocket. Throw the damn ball on time.
Yep.
If you do that, we got a chance to win football games, and then you don't have to worry about your defensive tackles choking you out.
Yep.
Because he almost got choked out on the
Carey. He absolutely did. And how many times? And that was only when we saw it. I mean, how many times?
Listen, man.
They got close on camera. You know they got real close.
Hey, man. I done told you a couple times to make plays happen.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is the polite version. We on TV. I'm going to kick your ass in this locker room if you don't come on.
I know where your personal office is, Russ. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to drag you around.
Spots.
Exactly. Sean Payton got rid of all that crap, too, which is good. And I'm glad you brought up the O-line. I think that's a top 10 offensive line, assuming that McGlinchey and Powers do what they're supposed to, and Garrett Bowles stays healthy. If Bowles stays healthy at the left tackle spot, man, I think that's a top 10 offensive line in football. The front seven, I think, is got some. It needs some work. You know, you lose Von Miller and Bradley Chubb over the years.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a bit of an issue. Frank Clark will help in the short term, but overall, I still like the over 8.5 for Denver. All right, we're here. Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. Over under is 11.5. Carey, I mean, over. Let's just over. Yep.
Do we need anything else? You got anything else for me?
No.
I mean, is 15 still a quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay, well then, over.
Is Andy Reid still the play caller?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, he's still there.
Carey, the most I think the thing that impressed me the most about that Super Bowl win last year was the unbelievable job that the offensive line did.
Yeah.
I mean, that offensive line against that pass rush. The Eagles. Sorry, we're still baseball season. The Eagles pass rush, which was dominant last year. Crickets.
Nothing. Nada.
And the field was slick and all that. It was slick for the offensive linemen and for the Chiefs too.
It was.
That could be a top 5 offensive line.
That's a testament to you had two guys, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, who play in that center and right guard position.
Incredible.
Amazing. Those two guys are studs. They are damn good football players, and that allows Patrick Mahomes to do what he does. He is I felt like a few years ago the Cincinnati Bengals kind of found the blueprint, drop 8 and rush 3 because he's going to take time. He'll sit in that pocket and he'll scramble around. You need more defenders in the zones. If you blitz them, it's a wrap. Yep. If you only bring 4, you're not getting there and you're not dropping enough. And so it seemed like they found the recipe, the Cincinnati Bengals did, but no one else has been able to crack that code of Patrick Mahomes. This team, you lose Tyreek Hill last year, nothing doesn't matter. We'll go get Kadarius Toney, who had nobody. The Giants gave him away for a bag of peanuts, and we'll bring him in. You got you got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You got Sky Moore, who was a rookie last year. Yeah. You got some talent. You lose Juju, which I
think you replace Juju.
Their number one receiver, though, is one Travis Kelce.
Yes.
And he's a tight end, but he's their number one option. So, and you talked about Isaiah Pacheco earlier in the show, talking about how well he did in the playoffs, being a 7th-round guy coming in and just balling and playing extremely well. And don't forget about, was it McKinnon that also played well in that?
Jerick McKinnon was
balling as well.
I mean, how many times did they look at him, in the slot and or on screen passes, I should say, and he was great. I mean, there was a run there where I think he scored like a touchdown in 6 straight games or something. They know how to use their talent because of Andy Reid, and he's going to design people open. Let's not forget too about Rashee Rice, who they took in the second round at SMU.
Yep.
He's 6'1". He's got a little speed to him. I think Kadarius Toney's going to be the fun one to watch because
he had to get his knee cleaned up. He had a little procedure done, but
the way they used him. Sometimes, Carey, it's not about the player, it's about the fit.
Yes.
I don't think Deebo Samuel, who I love, is a number one wide receiver in most offenses. The way that Kyle Shanahan utilizes him, and you watch him, he's like, this is an incredible player. He is in that system because Shanahan knows how to design creative ways to get him the ball.
Yep.
We're not talking about Justin Jefferson and Deebo Samuel.
No.
They're two different guys. So Kadarius Toney, to me, fits into that mold of Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Where Reed is going to
system. Yeah. Putting him in motion, getting him to use. Andy Reid does a great job of using the guy's talent to their ability. I mean, to their credit. They are going to find ways to get their guys the football in creative ways, and it is spectacular to watch. The one thing we didn't mention, Chris Jones still looking for a contract. He's holding out. I don't know how long he's willing to hold out, but
they need him.
They definitely do need him back in the fold because he is a man.
Yeah.
A man in the middle.
You got only a handful of defensive tackles.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a clear top five in my opinion, and Chris Jones is somewhere within that top five.
He's top three.
Yeah. Aaron Donald, Jones. Hargrove from now at San Francisco, I think is somewhere in the top 10.
And I'm thinking Deron Payne also.
Deron Payne is excellent. I'm biased, but
Quinnen Williams.
Yeah. I mean, he's very good. I mean, if we're talking about like top 3, top 5, very good. I know I'm biased. Somewhere in the top 10, Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett is incredible.
You always bring your Falcons in.
Carey.
You know what? Arthur Smith and those guys got to give you a call.
Hey.
You give the Falcons a lot of love.
Jeffrey Simmons, too. Did we bring up Simmons? Did we bring up Jeffrey Simmons? I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is in the top 3. Yeah.
He's top 3, top 4. No question.
Let me just say this about Grady Jarrett.
He's a top 10 name of all time.
They have not had a pass rush since John Abraham.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played with John Abraham, but that's how far
John
back.
Abraham. But John was a man.
Like when he was healthy, he was incredible. They haven't had a pass rush since Abraham. They've got no outside guys. They can't. They're bottom 2 in sacks every year.
Yeah.
And Grady Jarrett is still among the best defensive tackles. When you can block one guy, when you know you got one guy to block, and he still does a nice job, I got to give you a little love.
He's a very good football player. I wouldn't take that away from him. I just like giving you crap.
That's fine.
Because you love Desmond Ridder. I
don't. I think they're going to be better than people
You do
think.
love Kyle Pitts though.
I love taking
you love the
running
idea
backs.
of Kyle Pitts.
I love listen, Carey, nothing gets me going. It's so funny, right? Because I actually think the Falcons are going to be better than people think. Their draft philosophy over the last 3 years has absolutely infuriated me.
It's puzzling.
Anybody that knows me knows that in the first round, I love to see teams that add to their front seven defensively or their offensive line, assuming you have the quarterback and all that. Teams that go outside in should get their ass kicked every year.
They should, and they usually do.
Yeah, they usually do.
And
the Falcons have drafted outside in for the last 3 years. They took Kyle Pitts, who's a receiver, not a tight end. They took Drake London, who is a wide receiver, and then they took Bijan Robinson. Yeah. I'm not saying any of these guys individually are not good enough, okay? They are. But when you don't have a pass rush and you keep adding to the outsides, it infuriates me.
Well, they went and got Calais Campbell.
I love Calais Campbell, yeah.
He's 38.
He's going to get you 7.5 sacks.
And he's one of the largest human beings I've ever met.
Yeah, he's a good leader and all that. No. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for us here. Then that'll do it for our division-by-division look. Carey and I got to come up with there's going to be plenty of things to talk about, but I want to find a structure for our show, Carey, that was kind of similar to what we just did, where it's like, hey, let's talk about what's going on in the National Football League, mix in some of the thoughts that we have from a schematical standpoint, and then also talk about maybe some predictions. So we'll find a new way to kind of do that. But We're going to be back next week. It's Gridiron Guys here on 101ESPN.com, and download us on your favorite mobile device as well. That'll do it, though. Carey Davis, Super Bowl champion. Anthony Stalter. We'll see you next time on Gridiron Guys.
Thanks for listening to the Gridiron Guys podcast with Super Bowl champion Carey Davis and Anthony Stalter.
Driven by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Check out the Gridiron Guys podcast page at 101ESPN.com.